Zolder was proof yet again that even the best can stumble. The GTP Championship leaders all fumbled early in the race, allowing Peter Smith to snag his first win of the season and only his second broadcast race. Will he be a serious threat again today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 7 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sebring has hosted the Kamel series for many seasons now, to the extent that you could consider it a staple circuit for the series. Let's head to our track guide to learn a little bit more about it. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well-known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course. Well, while in the real world American sports cars are getting ready to tackle Daytona, this is another classic track, Adam, that is going to be coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Their historical equivalent here in iRacing are tackling another famous endurance circuit nearly 150 miles south, and that is Sebring International Raceway. This infamously bumpy 3.7 mile or 6 kilometer 17 turn circuit is one of the most underestimated circuits in all of racing. With a mix of concrete, slabs, and asphalt, this track provides a serious challenge for every car that drives it. For the Audis, the many medium-speed sweeping corners throughout put a lot of pressure on front tire wear, making sustaining a stint difficult. For the Nissans, the bumps of the concrete combined with the high curves and grass-only runoff in the asphalt sections make for a very technical drive, requiring the lightest of touches on the throttle. Multiclass here is a nightmare, especially with the closing speeds between the classes being this high. The Nissans can easily lose 3 seconds getting trapped behind the Audis at any point on this circuit, and with the asphalt sections being very narrow with no runoff and a frequently changing racing line, traffic jams tend to happen a lot. Look for the Nissans to be aggressively taking apexes away from the Audis every opportunity they can, and the Audis just trying to hang on today. This beast of a track should not be taken lightly, Joe, and with many of our key players absent last week, it may define the points championship for the season for a couple of them if they aren't careful.
Yeah, actually, let's take a look at that points championship, starting, of course, with the prototype. Schneider holds on to the points lead. Fabian Gerber with a poor day. If anything, Nick Mucanos gained the most, but look at that. He's still a full win behind Nick right now. In fact, he's got Jamie Hall close behind and Sean Campbell not too far back as well, rounding out our top 5. So it didn't switch up as much as you'd expect, but it has closed things in somewhat. What about the GTO championship?
All right, starting from the bottom up here, we got Reed Miller, who's about 20 points back of Ben Laughter. Ben and Esco are still very tight together, but it's the story at the top that's a little concerning. Now, remember, there are drop weeks in this series. I think they get 2. So Joni Kajanen is 44 points back of Jukka Leskala, but he would drop last week, so that would bring him within about 20 points. But still, that's a big big gap to close, especially with Yuko being the fastest driver on track since the start of this season. I don't know, Joe. Championship's starting to look out of touch for Yoni.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be hard to try and catch Yuko Leskala. But let's take a look at today's race real quick before we get to the coverage of qualifying. With round 7 out of 12, we're past halfway. 40-minute race here today, and it is an open setup series. However, they have no fast repairs, so if you damage the car out there, you have to come in, take an unscheduled stop, and get it fixed up. And they have some incident points that will incur a drive-through penalty at 17 and a complete disqualification at 25. Right now in the qualifying, as we watch Cy Andra come around on his first flying lap. He returns after last week, missing out, I'm assuming due to having to take part, of course, in the iRacing Daytona 24, the week before the real one. New England driver looking to try and get himself another win because it's been a bit of a weird season for the number 2.
Yeah, it has. He's has some inconsistencies that we really haven't been used to seeing from him in past seasons, but this season he's really been struggling to get things going and be super consistent. He's been quick, but once again, sometimes he gets out qualified and ends up in 5th to 8th positions, and that's just not going to be good enough to catch up to the guys in the lead, especially Fabian Gerber when he's at the top of his game.
Looks like our first driver that'll get a time down will be Hovdal in the number 10. Now here's a driver who's branched out from his sort of cookie cutter stereotype he's been known for, which is being good at low downforce tracks, but recently shown some speed at some more high downforce places. He puts a marker in at a 45.4. Looks like Mukanos and Tobias Gerber both go faster than him on their first laps.
Absolutely. First GTO to set a time will be Ian Haycox, who's just coming around the final turn now, Sunset. As he crosses the line, let's see what kind of time he can put in. I believe they're actually just now starting to go on to their first lap for the Audis, but nope, Ian Haycox with a 159.7 and gets beat out by Miguel Castro, who immediately gets to a 158.1, so looks like the Audis starting to put in their good times now.
Oh, and Cy Andra just spun out on his second lap. He was half a second off of Fabian Gerber. I'd say the number 2 is very exposed right now. He could easily be sent down the order after qualifying in second place. So the front row is just perilously held onto by Cy Andra. Tobias Gerber, Fabian's brother, only has to make up less than a tenth to go past him. What about Yuko Leskala here in the GTOs? His first time is going to put him up on the provisional pole by 0.7 of a second. Now it's closer, though. Joni Kajanen comes through, puts it 0.2 of a second behind Yuko.
That's better, but let's hope that Yoni's race pace could be a little bit more consistent. One thing that you can work on if you're struggling as a driver in a multi-class series with catching up to the leaders ahead is work on dealing with traffic. If you can work the traffic faster than your competitors, even if they're faster on their regular lap times, you're going to have an opportunity to make some passes and to stay with them.
Here comes Nick Mukanos sitting in 4th. Tobias Gerber didn't complete his second lap, but Mukanos did. 45.109 is only mildly quicker. He'll stay in P2. So far, Andra is surviving.
Yeah, Andra is surviving. Tobias has completed his laps. Mukanos has completed his. Fabian Gerber crosses the line, a 144.5, so that's actually slower than his first lap. So that might be a good sign for Cy Andra if that's the case for most of these drivers, if they all have that kind of struggle. Here comes Jamie Hall. He's had such a rough season this season so far. Let's see whether or not he can go faster on his second lap, and he can by about 0.3. That puts him up into 7th.
Now we saw Peter Smith for a moment trying to figure out where exactly he is on the timing sheets. He hasn't set a time, so he must have had an off on his first go through. He should have enough to try and come around for this second one, as we see Nick Schneider way down the order for him. Even on his second lap, he is 1.1 seconds off of our pole time. So our current championship leader has got a struggle ahead of him today. What about Marquez as he comes around, currently sitting in 11th? Let's see what his second lap holds. 59.4, 0.4 quicker, and that will jump him up to 9th. What about Yuko Leskala?
Yuko coming across the line, trying to beat a 157.287. He's going to cross the line. 156. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
156.8 is going to cross him on the line. And Yoni Kaijin cannot improve. So that's going to, wow. That is quite an impressive second lap. But these Audi tires really do warm up in that second lap, Joe.
I'm looking through it. I don't really see anybody that looks like they're in a position to challenge Leskala 0.6 of a second quicker than anybody else. Here is Peter Smith, our winner from last round. He has come in quick. Can he get one on the board and cause himself to avoid headache here today? Let's see what it'll be. Was this one clean compared to his first one across the line? A 45.6, that'll count. And that will put him into 9th place, but only in the mid-pack.
Here's Aitor Sentes-Guindo coming across the line. 13 seconds to go. He will be able to make it. Another driver who hasn't set a time is Ardo Iamaki. Fabian Jungbluth hasn't set a time either. Neither is Carlos Fonseca. So as we see him cross the line and it finishes out, so many drivers that are usually fairly quick on the charts aren't up there, Joe.
Okay, and with a big field, that'll give them a lot of work to do. Let's go through our starting order. Fabian Gerber will be on the pole with Cy Andra starting in second. Then it's Tobias Gerber in P3, followed by Nick Mukanos in fourth. Aitor Sentes-Guindo, P5 for him. Matthias Hovdahl starting from sixth, followed by Phil Lake in the seventh position. His teammate Jamie Hall on his outside in eighth, and Nick Schneider all the way down in ninth. Peter Smith as well, unusually low, starting from 10th. Stephen Warkup, P11, followed by Laust Olsen. We'll then have Martin Krajcik on the inside of the next row in 13th, and Joseph Mudrack in 14th. Pablo Suarez, he'll be starting P15. Neil Andrews in 16th, and Hideki Koivisto in 17th. You've got Jonathan Rickard in P18, Don Peak in 19th, and Ioannis Vogetsidis in 20th. Lawrence Vaught starts 21st, and a few drivers did not qualify: Iamaki, Jungbluth, Fonseca, and Maupin.
Yuko Leskala is going to start off on pole today with Yoni Kaijin 7/10 behind. Just an impressive lap from Yuko to put himself on pole. Eskola Taniemi, a 157.7 for him, is going to put him in third position, just 0.3 ahead of Miguel Castro. Look for Ove Trangere to try and push his way forward. Did not have the greatest second lap himself. He's starting off in fifth with Reed Miller just a tenth, less than 2/100ths behind him actually, in sixth position. Ben Lafter's going to start off in seventh, trying to climb his way forward a little bit to get some extra points in that battle for third position in the points. Ian Haycock starting off eighth with Leonardo Marquez, a fairly new driver to the series, starting off in ninth. Maximilian Thomason starts off in fifth. He'll be battling with Jake Saddington down there in the 11th position. Then we have Kike Mengual starting off in 12th, battling with Peter Misarek in 13th and Jamie Hamill-Smith in 14th. Pablo Rangel, a low starting qualifying for him, down in 15th position, with Brian Shanahan starting off 16th, Robin Haypitch 17th, Burke Treidler 18th, Mike Tupola starting off in the 19th position with Oren Laskin 20th, Joseph Thomas 21st, and then David Nichols did not set a time in 22nd. That rounds out your 47 car field today.
A lot of folks out here at Sebring compared to the field we saw at Zolder. Interesting to note as well that Trangrade had messed up one of his laps and apparently is slightly out of position from what we're being told. So starting from fifth, we'll see if he can climb his way forward and maybe challenge some of our regulars up at the top. So far it's 5 for 6 for Leskala on wins, so he's got a big target on his back today. Watch our leaders in the GTPs work their way around the pace lap. That was Cy Andra that we were looking at close up, who will be starting on the outside of the front row with Fabian Gerber next to him once we get around to the green flag.
Yeah, that's going to be the point right there. This point of the hairpin, turn 7, is going to be the point of serious contention on the first lap for both of these classes, Joe. The hairpin is just such a dangerous point. It's the best passing point on the track on the beginning of the lap, especially coming through Big Bend into the hairpin. I expect some people to overshoot that corner, and we might have a wreck in one of the classes as they go through the hairpin.
One thing to remember, too, is it's a slightly warm day out there, 92 Fahrenheit currently on the track surface. As a slight bit of wind maybe could disrupt things, but doesn't look too drastic. Drivers will be needing to manage that over this 40-minute race here today in round 7. They come out of Tower now as it speeds up towards Bishop. We got a few quick, swift turns through Jean Debienne as well as Le Mans, and then they really pick up speed down the Ullman straight, where we could see some slipstreaming battles. So watch the Porsche pace car lead them through.
You know, Joe, I was looking at that wind, and it actually might be a factor, especially for the GTPs. 10 miles an hour out of the southeast puts it a tailwind as they go through the second part of Sunset. So that could push them wide or makes them a little bit unstable under braking through Sunset. So look for that to be a problem for some of these GTPs on the first couple of laps.
Who is going to stay aware of that? We watch our GTO leaders as well working their way through. They, of course, will have their own start, which is why they've got a clear track ahead of them. They want to make sure that they keep themselves plenty separate in case something happens in our prototype fields. They come up to Sunset Bend themselves. Fabian Gerber is looking for another win this season. He's only got 1 on the board compared to Cy Andra's 3. He's well ahead of him in the points because of Cy's misfortune and lack of attendance. So we could extend that gap today. Let's see if he can as we get the green flag here at Sebring International Raceway. Gerber is off well as they come down into turn 1. And Andra already being challenged by Tobias Gerber, but Tobias falls back into the first corner, but all the way off track. There goes Cy Andre. He holds on to it. He's going to lose 1 spot, maybe 2. He has to defend from Nick Mukanos into turn 3. We got a spinner. That looks like our championship leader, Schneider. We've got to head to the GTOs now.
GTO's a good jump from Yuko Leskala, who beat everyone into Sunset. Yoni Kaijin's been able to hang on to it, but then it is a complete mob back there from 3rd all the way down into 20th position. All these guys tucked in together. It's side by side between Reed Miller and I believe Ove Trangrade as they go through and they start to head through turn 5 onto Big Bend.
Also had a couple spinners. Neil Andrews unfortunately getting out of sorts in our prototypes, but continues on as almost a spinner in the background there on the GTOs. I didn't catch who that is. Looks like,
it's been a big wreck, actually. It's Peter Misarek, Robin Haypitch, Jake Saddington, and Jamie Hamill-Smith.
Oof. So they're obviously set well back. We'll take a look at that replay a little bit later. Up at the front of the GTPs, Fabian Gerber is off and away. After that mistake from Cy Andra, he has got clear track behind him. Tobias Gerber, his brother, now playing defense, trying to hold back Cy.
Yeah, that gap of 1.6 seconds from Fabian to Tobias is actually a fairly significant gap. And if Cy can't get past Tobias, it's going to be really hard for him to catch up to Fabian before they reach the traffic. And traffic is going to be a real dangerous effect for them going forward.
No doubt about that. He'll have to be brave to try and make up some time there unless he's got the pace on him. As they come out, ooh, a big mistake from Tobias Gerber going very wide, and Cy Andra knows it. He's going to pop out to the inside coming into turn 1. Can he complete the pass? Last time he had trouble through here and went off into the dirt. This time, looks like he's good. The number 2 back into P2.
Absolutely what he needed to get done right there, to get past Tobias and move his way forward, trying to catch up to Fabian. Fabian's got some serious race pace and knows how to navigate that traffic. If Cy can't get up there, he's going to have a little bit of struggle. Let's see what happens.
For our GTOs currently, Yuko Leskala trying to keep himself out of reach of Joni Kaijinen. Not as big of a gap as what we saw for the prototypes. A little bit into the dirt there for Kaijinen. But he comes back and keeps the pressure onto Yuko. Behind him his fellow countryman Letaniemi as well, running 3rd.
Yeah, if Esko can keep up with these 2 guys, he's going to be doing a good job trying to keep himself in a good position here. Now, Miguel Castro and Ove Trangrade are tucked in behind him. Ove up to that 5th position. He has made a couple of moves. Reed Miller's actually back down to 7th. Leonardo Marquez surprising everyone a little bit down there in 6th position, tucked in behind Ove Trangrade. And this top 5 all tucked in underneath about 3 seconds.
Oh, Miller missed the shift though. He's going to lose out in a battle with Marquez, and it looks like Ben Laughter is able to sneak by with that. So bump the 22 up into 7th in the GTO class.
Yeah, misshifts happen a lot here at Sebring. This bumpy track surface can throw off your shifting patterns, especially if you clip any of the apexes. You can accidentally try and put it in gear when the car's not ready. Oh, Ben Lafter actually gets a little bit of a brake lock up on the front right going into that corner there. Reed Miller now tucked in behind him. Look at this. Ben actually misses a little bit of a shift there, a slow shift for him. Reed has to take evasive action.
This is costing them lots of time on Leonardo. The 15 up to 6 and pulling away from them, probably eagerly so, especially here as they come onto the Ullman Straight where these little boxes will give a huge tow to each other.
Yeah, that's a good description of them, Joe. They really do feel like a box, especially when you got someone towing behind you, but Reed's not close enough. He can't quite make the move. Ben Lafter's going to go for the short apex on the first K here into 17, into Sunset. Reed Miller's going to try and do the over-under and get a little bit of a better exit, but Ben seems to have kept that thing really nice and clean, tucked up next to the wall.
Oh, and Phil Lake having a battle side by side with Sintez Guindo. He's going to try and bring along his teammate Jamie Hall down to the inside of Cunningham. He can follow him through maybe, but fighting back, Sintez Guindo is going to make life difficult. They almost come together through Collier. Not a place you can often manage too wide, and once again they nearly bang wheels. Coming out of tower finally, Jamie Hall gets himself into 6th.
Absolutely impressive stuff from those two competitors. Keep it nice and clean as they duck through Collier. This is great stuff with these GTPs, but they realize that now is absolutely the time to get any passing done. Because once you run into those GTOs, it's going to be really tight. The GTPs are about half a lap behind the GTOs at this point, so they've got some time.
Now this is quite a train forming here with Lake up at the front of it, Hall second, Sintez Guindo, Hobdal, and Warkup.
And Leonardo Marquez, Ben Lafter, and Reed Miller are all in a cluster battle as they are about to go through Collier themselves. This is down in the 6th position in the GTOs. Look at them side by side here as they duck towards tower. Here we go into the corner. Leonardo has got the inside. Ben Lafter can't quite get the power down to make it work. These guys nose to tail. Here comes Reed Miller.
Miller gets a great launch, but he's boxed in. Lafter to his inside, and Marquez in front of him caused him to check up, hitting Jean Debienne. Looks like Marquez will hold on to 6, but he's feeling some pressure.
Absolutely. Marquez must have made a mistake to allow these two to close in, so that must be why Ben Lafter decided to take the opportunity. But now they get onto the straight. Reed Miller's going to be the one who benefits the most from this. I think Ben Lafter's going to have an opportunity to look to the inside, and he does. He's going to look to the inside. They have a slow GTP ahead of them. That's Lawrence Vaught, who's right on the apex of the corner. Whoa. Oh, they make contact as they go through. Lawrence is trying to get to the pits at this point. Ben Lafter's going to take the position, though.
Yeah, I think that GTP unfortunately had a little bit of an incident coming out of Le Mans. That was awful, awful close. And the GTO driver's getting on the radio to him a little bit irked, shall we say.
Yeah, taking the apex away at 17 for the GTOs is pretty much a death sentence for those cars. You really can't go through that corner quickly without having it. So as those three continue nose to tail, and look at this, nobody can get away from each other right now in this pack.
Lafter leads among them. They come around Big Bend down towards the hairpin. A great run from Reed Miller here. Already defensive. Marquez tries to keep the inside. Then he drifts back to the outside. Miller spies an opening. Outbreaks him down into the hairpin. Can he get it woed up in time? Looks like he's got it. Move Miller up to 7th.
And that's Maximilian Thomason that's now joined into the fray in that blue aero machine. I think it's one of the most unique paints out there on the track. Doing a great job right now in 9th position. He's looking to try and make his way forward. Marquez has lost 2 spots in the course of 1 lap here. So Marquez seems to be struggling a little bit with the front tire brake bias just a little bit. He seems to be a little tight coming into these corners.
You watch them head out of tower up towards Bishop once again. Marquez was getting on the radio, didn't quite make out what exactly he said, but they've drifted apart at least temporarily, and they hit the brakes once again down through Jean Debienne, trying to get as wide a line as possible through Le Mans to launch themselves down the Ullman Straight way wide. Unfortunately, at the apex, Marquez falls back off of the back of Miller.
Yeah, I think Marquez got on the radio to apologize a little bit to Miller because he did kind of cut his nose off going through Big Bend. But I'm sure Reed didn't mind. It gave him the opportunity to get back up onto Ben Lafter and challenge him for 6th.
Back onto the front stretch one more time. as they all stream off the 180-degree corner. A poor one for Maxime. He unfortunately loses many car lengths coming down the pit straight. Starts to lose touch with this fight for 6th position. This is all happening behind the battle for 4th. Miguel Castro and Ove Trangrade are very tight amongst each other. Remember, we said Trangrade was slightly out of position due to the poor qualifying.
Yeah, I think Ove might be one of the quicker among the GTOs here. He might be able to get himself up to 3rd by the end of this race, but he's going to have to be aggressive here, and Miguel is not wanting to let Ove by. He has been late breaking Ove multiple points throughout this lap, and so Ove Trangrade, he's been stuck behind Miguel for about 2 laps now. Now, one of the things that you were talking about, Joe, is these guys losing speed coming off of 17. Going through Le Mans and through Sunset, those are your 2 points where you want to get the best exits possible, because that's the longest straights, and you could lose over a second if you're not careful and you get a bad exit.
He's had a couple bad corners here for Castro. Watched him go very wide into Cunningham, but still no chance for Trangrade to actually effect a pass as he follows right in the tire tracks of the number 14. Look at him right on top of the curbs, taking quite a bit of it in places.
This is interesting because he's taking this shallow line through Le Mans, which means that Miguel can get a really good run out of the corner. It's possible that Ove actually might have gotten a slowdown because he did cut the inside of 15 just a little bit, so I think he did. He's dropped way back.
Well, that will certainly put a damper on that. Oh, but if we go to Ben Lafter, he's side by side with Reed Miller through Sunset Bend, and I think Reed's going to be able to take this one away from him. Indeed, manages to get completely through, and with 30 minutes left on the clock, Miller bumps himself up into 6th.
Yeah, I thought that Ben might pull a little bit harder on the wheel and try and get to the inside of Reed. Through Sunset, which we put him on the outside through 1, but maybe to try and give him a little bit more challenge. But I think he's content to stay behind, and possibly he might be a little bit tough on tire wear right now. These guys have been pushing it really hard, but the GTPs are just about to reach the back of our still running GTOs. Fabian Gerber's 3 or 4 seconds behind Mike Chipola.
Yeah, meanwhile, we're going to look at his brother, Tobias Gerber, with Nick Mukanos hot on his heels. They come through turn 3 themselves. I think he's met at least a couple GTO cars, Fabian Gerber, and is already lapping them, but they're very spread apart at the back, so he's at least getting that mercy of only having to pick them off one at a time. The question is, where is he going to catch them now that they're in the more technical portion of the circuit?
Yeah, look at this. Tobias Gerber is under pressure from Nick Mukanos. Nick Mukanos, who's had a fairly inconsistent season so far, but he's been very quick when he has been going. So here we go as they start to catch up. As he starts to catch up to the back of Tobias, let's see whether or not he can make the move. He's going to be hard pressed to make it at some point before the Ullman straight, because at that point then Tobias can get right on his back. But here's Mike Tupola in that 16th place Audi in the number 42, right ahead of them in that cream-colored Audi. They're going to catch him at a really bad time here.
Yeah, this is coming up through Bishop, which I think, okay, they've got a clearing right around the outside. Makes it an awkward entry into Jean Debienne for Nick Mukanos. He manages it well, and he's going to get to the apex much better through Le Mans. Tobias Gerber now trying to pull as much slipstream as he can off of Treidler in front of him. Is that going to be enough to keep Mukanos from attacking him into Sunset Bend? He closes, he's looking for it, he's going to try it. He's given space at the apex, but Tobias Gerber sends it in, maybe a little too hot. He goes way wide on the exit, somehow keeps his speed up, and Mukanos can't get the pass done.
I was absolutely hanging it on the ragged edge there, but Nick Mukanos is going to look to the inside of turn 1. Tobias is going to give him the lane on entry, but try and outbrake him. Holy smokes, Tobias! The man was on the absolute edge of traction going through 1 there.
Wow. That is a very strong car on corner entry. The 21 is keeping Mukanos behind despite looking like they're going to enter too wide. We hop on board here with the number 13, watching as they stream towards the hairpin.
Now that would make me think twice a little bit about trying to make a pass there. Oh, and we've got some stuff going on down for the 11th and 12th positions. Ardo Yamaki, Fabian Newcliffe, and Lars Olsen. And something's wrong with Ardo's car. He's lost his front end. It's gone.
And look at how much it's checking up all those in front of him. Jungbluth and Olsen side by side. They're able to come out the other end. Peter Smith in there. Man, what a poor day for the number 8.
Okay, we've got to get a replay on this, what happened to Ardo Yamaki, because the GTO just reversed across the track in his path.
Oh, no. Let's take a look at the replay here, see if we can pull that one up.
Yeah, it's right here as they go through. It's right as they go through turns 3, 4, and 5 is where it happens. So as we duck through 2 and we go through 3, 4, and 5, suddenly you're just going to see a GTO just sliding across the track.
Oh. And just caught him at the exact wrong time. So that'll probably be some repairs, I'm sure. That was Tupola. Yet again, Mika gets it going. Seems like he got the better end of the stick between the pair of them. As we come back to our leaders, traffic has brought them together. They were as far as 1.7 seconds apart. But Sayandra, scything his way past these GTO cars, has now cut it down to half a second. And they're coming up on the leaders here soon. Up next is Marquez up in front of them. That was a fierce battle that we saw between himself, Laughter, and Miller just moments ago.
Absolutely. Sayandra's done a good job of cutting through this traffic better than Fabian so far. Fabian, he's going to have to tuck in behind Ben Laughter in order to go through the hairpin. This might hold him up just a little bit, but the Audis actually get a better exit. So this means that he's going to have a good opportunity to get by as they start ducking through a couple of the other corners here.
We're almost halfway through this race already. It has just flown by. And wow, look at on the brakes, having to hold on to it. Sayandra almost had the car spin out on him. Very deep into there from on board Reed Miller. He lets one through. Can he let the other through? No, not quite. He gives a little space at the apex. Both of them are slowed up, and Andra gives back all that time he gained.
Yeah, the damage is done, unfortunately, and that's 1 second that he lost just in one corner right there. So Sai's going to have to hope that as they catch up to the top 5, that Fabian Gerber gets caught out a little bit. Man, the battle for 4th position is nuts right now, Joe.
I was just watching the same thing, and that has Tobias Gerber being followed by Mukanos, with being challenged by Phil Lake around his outside, almost 3 wide, as Matthias Hovdahl gets involved as well. Lake can't get the shot off the corner. Hovdahl has the inside, but it looks like better speed on Phil Lake as they come down the Ullman straight, and that is a surprise to me. Usually Hovdahl is a bullet in a straight line. He comes back at him, coming through the Sunset Bend, but he gets boxed in behind the GTOs.
Oh my goodness, this battle is absolutely crazy. It's between 5 GTPs, and they're trying to navigate their way through these top 10 GTOs right now as they go through turn 1. They're going to be able to go to the inside of Leonardo Marquez. They're going to duck through there just barely. Jamie Hall just barely being able to make the corner, but now they've got Ben Laughter to try and get by, and Reed Miller. They're going to catch him at a really twisty part of the circuit. This is so narrow, so close between Phil Lake and Ben Laughter there.
Boy, he left him inches to spare. And that goes to show the experience those two have. Tobias Gerber, remember, he's in 3rd. This is a 5-car fight for the last step on the podium that we're witnessing right now.
Oh, and Reed Miller's right on the inside. Phil Lake's going to be put out to the outside of that apex. He's not going to get a good exit. He almost slides off. Matthias Hovdahl almost has the opportunity to go by, but he actually backs out of it. A little bit surprising there. Phil Lake and Matthias Hovdahl are going to be able to slide by Reed Miller now, but Nick Mukanos and Tobias Gerber are now a second ahead.
That split it up into 2 and 3. We watch on board from Nick Mukanos, looking back at how much time Phil Lake has been cost of that exchange. In fact, Tobias Gerber, now that he's finally in clear air, seems to be doing a good job of scampering away as well. He's got it up to 0.6 of a second ahead of Nick Mukanos in just a quarter of a lap.
Yeah, so now that he's pulled his gap ahead, if we could just take a look at the battle for the lead, because Sayandra has been able to close that gap due to traffic once again. And Sai, now that he's caught up to the back of Fabian, he's trying to work on Fabian a little bit, try some alternative lines, and get some better speed off of Sunset. He manages to do so, and Fabian's going to have the draft from Yannick Heijin ahead, pulling him through 1.
The last 2 of our GTO leaders that they need to overtake. Going to go around the outside. And Fabian Gerber still holds the lead. One more, and then he's through the entire GTO field for the first time. Yuko Leskala up in front of him as we watch from on board. Cy Andra out of turn 5 into Big Bend. This should be an easy pass for both of them.
It should be, yes. I think, yeah, Yuko's going to be able to take it right into the apex. That means they're both going to be able to get by. And Yuko's going to actually let off and brake a little early. That's good for him to do so, because this means it's not going to hold up any of them as they go through the hairpin. So as they duck out of the hairpin and through, as they start to go through Fangio. Wow, Cy Andra's got that thing really trimmed out, Joe. Look how close he is behind Fabian right now.
Interesting strategy call from Cy. And that could help him as long as he catches Fabian Gerber with a poor exit out of one of those critical turns you mentioned earlier. It could be an easy pass for him at the right time. Now at the halfway point, 20 minutes to go. We once again look over the dash of Cy Andra. 3 wins versus 1, but Andre is down on points, so he does need to finish ahead of Fabian Gerber right now.
Fabian is doing exactly what he needs to do to stay ahead, but I think if Cy has an opportunity here, he's going to have to take it, because this is the first clear track that he's gotten in a while, and it's so important to try and make a move when you have clear track, but he doesn't quite want to commit there. He's going to take it wide through Sunset, try and duck it in to take a late apex out, but he can't quite get the car turned. That means it's going to give advantage to Fabian Gerber.
Down the front stretch once again, he reels him right back in. They will have some GTP traffic in front of them actually pretty soon. Lawrence Vaught is up the road. Remember, he had that damage pretty much on lap 1 or 2. So he's been suffering from that even after his repairs.
Unfortunately for us, these GTPs cutting through the field has really separated the GTO battles, all of them out to about a second at this point. Closest is still that battle for third between Letaniemi, Miguel Castro, and Ove Trangerade. But unfortunately, the GTPs cutting through really do put a hamper on where you can maneuver.
Going back to the battle for 4th in our prototypes, Mukanos still having to work his way. Oh, my goodness, Tobias Gerber just got shunted off. And
that was by our leader.
Oh, my goodness. Yuko Leskala is lost the lead. Kaijinen is through.
I think it's a mechanical failure for Yuko. He's very slow on the track trying to recover.
This was rather bizarre. Did he get chopped off? No.
Let's listen to this. I can't tell whether or not he had a failure. Oh, man.
I wonder if the downshifts just failed him. Maybe it accidentally went into neutral and he couldn't get it slowed up enough.
Either that or you can downshift a little too early and get the revs too high, and that ends up picking up the rear tires, making it harder to brake, but that's going to severely impact him. He's down to 5th position and probably has some decent front end damage on that thing. He's going to have to work hard to try and catch up back with the leaders.
Yeah, he is unfortunately gone to 5th. Meanwhile, the battle that we were watching just when that happened is still hot. Nick Mukanos on the outside and ahead of Phil Lake retains 3rd place actually now because of Tobias Gerber getting punted off the course by the GTO. So this continues to be the fight for the podium position. Hovdal in the mix just behind Phil Lake.
Absolutely, these guys are going to be tucked in right next to each other. Big Bend is another opportunity to try and make a pass as you head into the braking points for the hairpin. Let's see whether or not Phil Lake can set up Nick Mukanos for that as we start to head down the track. Matthias Hovdal, we'll see whether or not he has actually trimmed himself out for this. Let's see what he does.
Down into the hairpin. Looks like he's not quite close enough.
And it's just a bad day for Niklas Schneider, our current points leader, Joe. He was just battling side by side with Laust Olsen and ended up outbraking himself into turn 3. Ended up going off track, and now he's down to 16th.
Wow. So I'm pretty certain this is going to hand the lead back over to Fabian Gerber, because Schneider down in 15th might actually be the very tail of the points. He might only get a single point to his name in the championship if he finishes here. Meanwhile, we keep watching Mukanos trying to fend off Phil Lake, our current GTO champion, who has hopped over into the prototypes and is finally getting his feet underneath him.
Yeah, if Phil can get a podium here, that's going to be a big boost to his confidence, but he goes off track and he spins and hits the inside wall. Commentator's curse.
That one's my fault, as the number 3 falls all the way to 6, and depending on how damaged that car
it's pretty badly damaged. So
yeah.
The right rear is toast.
I think he's going to continue to bleed spots. Let's see if he decides to come in. No, he's going to keep it out. He's going to try and run it and limp it to the end.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough. I mean, he's got a minute over the guys down in second position, but it's going to be hard to limp that thing to the end with 16 minutes to go.
Looking at Andre and Gerber. Oh, and was that it off from Halake just there before as we cut? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he's decided to park it.
Poor Phil Lake. It was looking like a pretty good day until then. Meanwhile, as Gerber leads Andre by half a second, I'm keeping half an eye on. I'll give a shout if we need to jump over. Leskala's gaining on Trangrade and Castro on his fight back forward, so that could be a spicy one in a moment. As we come through Collier now, clear track in front of the pair, at least for a few moments until they catch up to Hamill-Smith, and then it's Tupelo once again.
Yeah, it's just hard to navigate the GTOs at this particular point on the track. It's such a high-speed margin. Wow, look at that. Fabian Gerber ducking to the outside. Cy Andre has to go around as well. Man, that's some commitment there, because the GTOs can wash wide on that corner. Oh, Fabian's going to get held up here. This might be an opportunity for Cy.
Looks for the launch. Oh, it's going to be a great opportunity. Probably his best chance we've seen thus far. He gets up to the side of him. There's that extra straight line speed that the number 2 has. Almost tries to pinch him down as trying to come back to the line. Suddenly, Fabian Gerber finds himself unable to take as wide a line as he would like. He's still got the inside coming through Sunset Bend. The battle continues down the front stretch once again. With the extra speed, it looks like Cy Andre's going to have the advantage, because now it switches back to the left side, coming through turn 1. Can he finish the job here coming through the first corner? No! Still side by side, the pair fight. Then it's down into turn 3, tries to outbrake him, almost shoves him off track, gives him just enough room that Cy Andre finally finished it. No, not quite. He's got to accelerate cleanly, and he's got it. Cy Andre had to really work for that one.
Oh, that's the best of the best right there, battling side by side. Clean racing from these guys. Hard, tough, clean racing. Holy smokes.
As we come now to the battle between Yuko and... Oh, did Mikel Castro? I think Castro lost 2 spots recently, because he was ahead of both of these guys.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, because, yeah, Miguel was ahead of them, so he did lose those spots. But look at this with Yuko Leskala trying to catch up to the back of Ove Trangrade. That is Carlos Fonseca ducking to the inside, taking away Trangrade's apex. This might be an opportunity for Yuko if he wants to send it up the inside of 3.
He decides not to. Stays put behind the number 19. As they come out of turn 5, he could maybe get himself a launch. Looks for it, but Trangrade strong on the power. He'll give a slight toe. Is this enough? And is Leskala brave enough to try it here?
I don't think so. No, yeah, Leskala's staying tucked in behind Ove. He knows that he's got a podium on the cards if he could just get past Ove, so he's trying not to take any unnecessary risks at this point out there.
Yeah, he's got such a huge gap, as I think we've had a problem with Olsen and Smith. Oh no. After a win last week, Peter Smith has just not shown the sort of form that we've seen. This happened into Tower.
Yeah, this one's not on Smith, unfortunately. They actually got held up a little bit off of the exit of the corner. Then Laust Olsen has to go wide. Peter Smith's already out there, and they make contact.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Olsen, he hits the barrier, whereas Smith is able to get going without touching anything. So he'll pick up 12th. Olsen falls down to 14th. So we come back to our leaders in the prototypes. Cy Andre is not over with this fight. Fabian Gerber comes back at him, tries to challenge him. This is an interesting dynamic, because now Gerber, who is much quicker in the corners, has to try to have the more difficult job of overtaking a car that's fast in a straight line.
Absolutely. All these guys are going to be battling. These 2 guys are going to be battling for the rest of this race. Only 12 minutes to go. That's just over about 8 laps for these guys, so they have some time to they have some time to battle, and I believe they're going to be able to catch up to through 9th place in the GTOs by the time they reach the end of this race, and that's a pretty tight battle also between 9th through 12th in the GTOs. Actually, as I say that, I believe that Maxime de Thomason just had an off and has fallen back to 12th position. He was in 8th.
Indeed, and don't need to go to it, but it looks like Pablo Suarez has found the wall after, well, it was contact with Miguel Castro, it seems. So unfortunately, lap traffic causing problems there. Meanwhile, our 2 leaders split by only 0.2 of a second with 11 minutes left to go on the clock here in round 7 of the Kamel GT series. Out of turn 1, your leader is Cy Andra. Fabian Gerber is in second, but Fabian started on the pole. Andre even said after the qualifying that he felt Gerber was lucky that he messed up his second lap. So it seems like Cy felt like he did indeed have something to try and fight Gerber, at least in quali.
Oh, it looks like Yuko Lesko just made an amazing save.
Let's go take a look at that. And
This was coming out of the hairpin.
Yeah, so this was a while ago. Well, yeah, we'll need to back up maybe about 30 seconds from this, I think.
Yeah, here we go. As he comes out of the hairpin, he ends up clipping the grass on the outside, and that sends him into a little bit of a tank swapper. Now watch him recover from this.
Oh! Holy cow! Oh, and it just did not end. It kept going, and I don't know how he retained the position over Ove Trangere. That is miraculous stuff.
Wow, I mean, yeah, and he was able to hold the position too. That is unbelievable. But all right, so he is up into 3rd position. He's got about 10 seconds to well, no, he's got less than a second to Esco, and then 10 seconds to Yoni to get done in 10 minutes. That's going to be a hard-pressed thing to do.
I don't think he can catch Kaizen unless Yoni gets some sort of issue with the with GTPs coming through, but definitely has an opportunity to try and get back into 2nd place and lessen the damage. As we wait for that to happen, Fabian Gerber, who we once again joined, chasing down Cy Andra, coming through the first corner yet again. Up ahead of them, Saddington. Oh, and this is going to be a very awkward spot, unfortunately, for Andra.
Yeah, Andra's just going to be patient until they exit turn 5 to try and get the launch. Saddington actually off track a little bit. That's going to make Cy hesitate, but Cy actually puts the power down anyways. Fabian Gerber launching. Oh, and looks like Pablo Suarez and Laus Olsen, who've had trouble all day, just made contact with each other once again, so you don't have to go there, but they're continuing to have trouble.
This has proved to be a little bit more troublesome of a track than I expected for some drivers. Lapping now, Don Peak, as he stays out of the way of our top 2. Coming down into Cunningham. Oh, once again, traffic at a very bad place for Cy Andra. De Thomason sees it. He stays out of the way, sacrifices some time so that these 2 can go unhindered.
I don't think Pablo Rangel's going to allow that same opportunity for these guys. He's going to... Ooh, wow, that's a little bit cagey from him. Fabian Gerber's going to have to duck to the inside. It's going to be a stressful moment as they duck through the corner. Good job sliding straight through. But, oh, look at this. Cy's getting held up here by Ian Haycox. He's going to have to duck to the inside. Fabian Gerber almost alongside. And now, as they exit onto the Ulman Straight, Fabian's got a good opportunity. He's tucked into the draft, but can Cy's trimmed out car pull ahead?
That looked like a little bit of a better exit for the number 2. And indeed, it appears that he is going to be able to keep Gerber at bay. Laps are really ticking down now at this point, as it's almost 2 minutes to get around here, and more traffic up in front of them. That's Mingual, who is unfortunately in the way, almost causing a 3-wide situation. Checks up Cy Andra as Fabian Gerber spies his best chance to try and get through. He's got the inside down into turn 1. Andra trying to pull the over-under on him. Doesn't look to be there. He gets a better run, but breaks for turn 3 and can't get it past.
So Cy Andra's going to be pretty frustrated with that. Expect to see him try and make a move into the hairpin this time if he could get the run off the corner. Fabian Gerber, though, he's got that car trimmed. He's got that car tuned just right so that he can get good speed through these low to medium speed corners. But here comes Cy pulling on the front straightaway. He's not going to have enough to get there.
Can't attack in the hairpin, at least for this time. They come out of the corner. A little bit of a slide on the exit from Fabian Gerber. He's clearly pushing as hard as he can to keep Andra behind him.
Oh, here we go. The Andre's going to make the move. Oh, he's got so close.
He thought about it. He's trying to get into the head of Fabian Gerber, but it didn't quite work out. This is happening simultaneously as Leskala and Letaniemi are very close, but they're split currently by one of our GTP drivers, so that will break up that fight. This is the better one right here on screen.
Yes, Siontra's got to get a good run off of the corner onto Ullman straight. Through Le Mans they go. He's going to have to go wide here and try and get a good exit. That is the best setup he's had all race. Can he stay out of the grass? No, he loses just a little bit of tires into the grass. That's means he's going to not have an opportunity into 17. Visibly,
you can see how much Gerber stretched away with that one small error. These drivers have to be absolutely perfect to be able to take victories in this series.
And now even worse news for Sai. Fabian Gerber's got the draft of Pablo Suarez, but Pablo moves to the inside. He can't keep up the pace. This means that, but it was just enough. It was just enough to allow Fabian to stay ahead and not allow a challenge into one. But they're catching up to Reed Miller for 7th position in the GTOs.
Ove Trangere just had an off, and he's going to lose spots, I think. No, it looks like he'll salvage it. He had enough of a buffer behind him. Looks like, I think he outbraked himself. He was just behind Leskala. This will happen into turn 3 coming up here.
Well, here we go into turn 3. He's just a little bit outbraking himself there. Oh my goodness, he very much outbraked himself. Just locked up the rears just a little bit. I think that might have been a little bit of an early downshift. We have to go back to the lead of the GTPs. Fabian Gerber just clipped the grass. Siondra's got an opportunity. He can't quite take it. There's too much traffic. Oh, he goes for it 3 wide.
Down into Cunningham. He's going to take the apex away, and he's got it. Just barely eking his way through. Siontra, with less than 5 minutes to go, now holds the upper hand.
Man, I didn't expect that. I don't think Fabian expected him to take that opportunity, but there was enough room there, so Sai stuck his nose in. He's going to take this apex. Oh, he's going to get blocked off. Here comes Fabian Gerber on the outside. Can he hold it?
The tables turn, and Fabian Gerber gets a return and back up into the front. They're going to go by Ove Trangere, who stays duly out of the way. So briefly, Siontra was back into the lead, but now he's got to do it all over again. This is a great run, though, as we watch for the 007 cam. Andra peeking his nose down to the inside, going to try and take it away, but Gerber knows how to send it in deep, and he keeps him from getting inside of him.
Siontra's going to have to power it out, but he doesn't quite have the grip, doesn't quite have the downforce that Fabian Gerber does. He's going to have to wait for yet another lap, but they've got a battle up ahead of them between Escaleta-Niemi and Yuko Escaleta. It's very tight between those two drivers that they're going to have to navigate here coming through this lap. Siontra lost about half a second in that exchange.
A perfect storm brewing between our battle for first in the prototypes and the battle for second in the GTOs. Who is going to get the good end of things? As they come out of Big Bend. This is actually a great setup for Leskala, and they're going to be caught right when Fabian Gerber is coming up upon them. How is this going to work out? Leskala ducks back in. He sees the situation, decides it's better not to try and stick it in.
Leskala's got to get this move done, though, for the points championship to keep that gap over Yoni Kaisen. Here comes Fabian Gerber on the outside. This is the perfect opportunity for Fabian to make it by. Siontra's going to follow him through. Is Fabian going to take the apex away from Letaniemi? No, Letaniemi tries to go there, but locks up the front right tire. Can't quite get that turned in, but here they go. Both Fabian and Sai around the outside. They're both clear and through. It's 4 seconds up to 2 lapped GTPs. They're battling for position. Martin Krajcik and Laust Olsen. And with 2.5 minutes to go, it's going to be white flag. I believe they're going to be 2 to go this time.
It was a little cagey, but the experience of all 4 involved really shined through. Andra's awful tight, though. Let's see if he can get the better exit this time, coming off of Le Mans. Last time, he put a wheel into the dirt. This time, he doesn't, but he doesn't look like he was brave enough to try and pull on Fabian Gerber. He'll catch up, and he'll get to the rear, and then they have to brake.
Fabian is absolutely millimeters away. Wow, look at this wide line from Siontra. Try and take it through the final corner, but it's just not paying off for him. These alternate lines through Sunset is just not working out. He loses time instead of gains it as he's hoping to do. So now he's about half a second behind Fabian.
As we got side by side between Letaniemi and Leskala. Lescala to the outside. This started in Sunset Bend, and it continues on through turn 1. Behind them, Nick Mukanos is quickly approaching. Track almost blocked off in front of him. He's eventually going to try and have to get through here. With a nose ahead, it looks like Yuko might be able to finish the deal. Oh, and they come together. Letaniemi gets shoved to the side.
Actually, Letaniemi, that was an evasive move from Letaniemi. It's going to be really close between, oh my god, Mukanos, Hovdal, and Hall are going to try and cut through here. This is the battle for the last step of the podium for these GTPs.
Hovdal trying to stay defensive on Hall, and that's going to hold him back at least temporarily. Oh, but he's at a really bad spot with Lescala. Lescala gets held up, and here comes Esco right back at him. Oh, but he can't get enough speed.
This is such intense driving from all these drivers right now as they continue to battle for the second spot on the podium for the GTOs, last spot on the podium for the GTPs, and the lead of the GTPs still battling. And
Hovdal just got by Mukanos for third position.
Oh, and Letaniemi missed a shift while we were watching on board with him.
So that will cost him. We're going to get the white flag next time by, and Cy Andre's positioned pretty well here on the Almond Straight. He might have a good shot at things. What's he going to do?
Follow him, Cy. Don't try and make the move. Yes, that's the right move because they've got Mike Tupola right on the apex. That's going to push Fabian wide. Sandra's got a better opportunity to make an exit here.
Look at that. Great run. Instinctively covering off the inside, Fabian Gerber forces his rival to go the long way around. Coming up to turn 1, side by side once again for the second time in this race. But this time, Gerber is much stronger off the corner.
Gerber almost lost it coming through 1. This is the white flag lap. This is the battle for the lead of the race. Still this close after 20 minutes of racing. Fabian Gerber, Cy Andra battling for the lead. They've got Jamie Hamill-Smith up ahead of them, and they're going to catch him right at the apex of the hairpin if they're not careful. I think Fabian's going to be able to duck to the inside and take away that apex from Jamie. Cy Andra's going to try and go through as well.
Oh, he almost managed to get inside of Gerber, but couldn't find enough track width in there. With adrenaline at an all-time high between this pair, battling for the lead. Gerber, unfortunately, slow once again, coming down into Cunningham. Audra pulled this off once, but he can't do it twice. He's rebuffed at the apex as Fabian Gerber shows he's got that mid-corner speed.
Absolutely. 8th place is off. Stephen Workup off track, and the GTPs will get an update on that after the race, but this battle's too good to look away from. Fabian Gerber, Cy Andra. Fabian gets a better exit through Tower as they go into Bishop and try and approach Le Mans. Fabian's got a little bit of a gap, but Cy Andra's got the pressure. Looks like Jamie Hall and Nick McConnell's battling side by side as well, but here we go. The exit onto the Omen Straight. This is the opportunity for Cy. Last chance.
Get out your rosary. It's going to have to be a Hail Mary for Cy Andra as the number 2 closes in. Does he try and chuck it into the corner? Can he make something stick? Gerber does not defend. He holds the outside, sends it in deep. Andra falls back mid-corner. Can he launch it off the turn? It's going to be a run to the line. He's got momentum. He's coming up to him. I don't think it's enough as they come across, and it's going to be Fabian Gerber by inches.
Such a great race, but the battle for third is not over. Matthias Hovdal and Nick McConnell. Hovdal's been able to get past McConnell as they come up behind Jonathan Pritchard. It's Hovdal that's going to take third position.
And right behind them, Joni Kaisinen takes a critical win here today after Lescala makes a mistake. The number 1 in our GTOs has victory here at Sebring.
And Tobias Gerber got absolutely sent off by Lawrence Vaught at the end of the race. A complete torpedo move as they went through Le Mans. Let's take a look at this for a second.
Oh my goodness. Tobias, who is looking at a podium, finds everything.
Okay. Yeah, this is a perfect opportunity here because Tobias goes to the inside of Lawrence as they go through Bishop, and that's what ends up upsetting Bishop, I think, and you're going to see quite an unsavory move here.
Oof. I think this is going to be a protest post-race. Oh, yeah. Obviously, he gets into him, and I understand his feelings on the matter, but intentionally taking out the 21 to me is not the way to go. So, we'll see what Nim says about that one if he winds up having to sit the 2 of them down. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break as we come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. This was one for the ages here in the Kamel GT Series. Round 7 went to Fabian Gerber, but it was 4/100ths of a second at the line. A literal race to the checkers between Gerber and Andre as they battled these final 10 minutes, separated by nothing. Andre with second was then completed by Matthias Hovdal in the last step of the podium in third. Nick Mukanos behind him in fourth, and Jamie Hall taking P5. Heitor Sintes Guindo finished sixth today, and then Joseph Mudrak climbing from 14th to 7th with a great jump forward. Fabian Jungluth didn't get a qualifying time in. He did work his way up through the field up into 8th from 23rd. Nick Schneider, unfortunately, going way back down the field and then having further problems in the race, caused him to lose a lot of points today, and he winds up with 9th. Peter Smith as well, following up his win at Zolder with, unfortunately, merely a top 10. Tobias Gerber, he's going to have some people to talk to after today, both from the GTO and GTP field. He was 11th, and Neil Andrews was 12th. Stephen Warcup finished P13, and Carlos Fonseca, the last one on the lead lap, in 14th. Martin Krajcik, P15 for him. Laust Olsen in 16th. Hideki Koivisto, 17th. Jonathan Rickard in 18th. The last of our GTPs was Pablo Suarez in 19th.
Then Joni Kaisen takes such an important win right now to take that top spot away from Yuko Leskala. Yuko making contact with Tobias Gerber after a missed braking into the hairpin, but he's able to recover from 5th up to 2nd place in the last 10 minutes of the race. Escoleta Niemi doing a great job to hang on to Joni, and Yuko in the early portions of the race comes home with a podium for his trouble. Miguel Castro battled with Ben Laughter and Reed Miller for 4th, 5th, and 6th, with Ove Trangrade only coming home in 7th position after that late off. Leonardo Marquez, a great race for him, waffled around in a couple of positions, but comes home in 8th on such a challenging track for one of his first broadcast races. Pablo Rangel coming home in the 9th spot with Ian Haycox in 10th. Those two were tightly battled towards the end of the race. With Kike Mengual, not the greatest race for him, fell quite a few spots, unfortunately, down to 11th position. Max Mady Thomason in 12th. Brian Shanahan, 13th, with Oren Laskin and Burke Treidler, 14th and 15th, as they battled as well. Jamie Hamill-Smith had some trouble today in 16th, with Mike Tupola as well having some trouble in 17th. Joseph Thomas in 18th. Everybody else that you see down there either DNF'd or had some significant trouble.
We've got our winner in the prototypes ready to talk to us. Fabian, after the qualifying, Cy gave you a warning shout saying you're lucky that he spun on his second lap. Do you now heed that warning after a race like that?
Yeah, I didn't hear that, luckily. So I don't know, but I think we had different kind of setup. He was a bit faster in the straight. I was a bit faster in the turns, especially in the first section. So yes, without any traffic, it would have been, I guess, difficult for him. But with traffic, it was exciting as hell. It was really like Barber a couple of seasons ago. I don't know if you remember that. That was very, very intense, but very good. One of the best races since a long time.
Yeah, I absolutely remember that one, and I think I'm going to remember this one too. You finally get win number 2 on the board. The good news is that actually extends you farther ahead of Syandra with some of his missed races and poor results this season. Now that it looks like you're going to be taking the points lead, does it feel like things are finally kind of going how you'd like them to?
I think not quite yet. I think Saya has less weeks, so he's when he finishes good races like today, it's gonna be tough to beat him this season. So it's really on this season. I made mistakes and I had bad results with bad luck, just one win. So it's a tough season, really tough. But we'll see. It's another 5 races to go, I think. So a lot can happen.
Well, I mean, speaking of luck, next round, you're going to need it because you're going to Detroit. How many special charms you're going to carry with you?
I love Detroit, to be honest. So I'm really looking forward to it. And traffic is not as difficult as it may seem. There's just this one section, but there you just wait behind. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. You just outbrake the Audis when you can, and if not, you wait for the next corner. So knock on wood, should be good. But I at least I look forward to it. That's the main thing.
All right. So optimism from Fabian Gerber, our winner here today. And up next, I believe we have Looks like Ben Laughter, as Adam has caught up with our fifth place driver here in GTOs.
Yeah, Ben, another top 5, a great race from you for sure, but definitely eventful. You were battling with quite a few drivers throughout the race. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, Joe, I worked hard for that 5th place. Don't try to take it away from me.
Sorry.
No, that was bananas. I mean, number one, I felt like, myself, Uwe, Miguel. Miguel probably had a little bit of an edge, but I think he ended up some damage. And who am I forgetting? Reed and Leonardo. Where'd he come from? We all had such even pace, and we were just having an amazing battle the whole race. And when the Nissans show up, it was just pandemonium. It was really aggressive. There was a train of like 7 cars at one point going through 3, 4, and 5. It was crazy, but I had a blast today. A lot of fun.
Absolutely. We were able to catch some of that action. And this is such a challenging track to tackle in the Audi, much less with the Nissans snaking in between you. How was that traffic today? Did you feel like they were respecting you guys?
No. Not today. Today, it was survival mode. You had to really just be reactive to whatever the Nissan decided to do at any given moment. And there was a lot of inconsistency, a lot of aggression. I understand everyone's in their own races, but today I felt like I had to make the corner work instead of just run my line. And that's not the way it's supposed to be, but I understand everyone's competitive. It's a really tough field, a very talented field. So I get it, but it was hard.
Absolutely, Ben. And next week we head to Detroit, which historically has been a good track for the Audi, but I know it's not everybody's favorite. What are your thoughts?
I like it. I don't have enough experience there. I think I've only done 2 races there, so I've got to dial in that right-hander after the back straight. I screw that up every race, and so once I figure that out, I think I'll be A-okay.
Well, Ben, fantastic finish today, top 5. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Guys, I was racing around. Really, really awesome fight today. So thanks for making it fun.
Absolutely. That was Ben Laughter, our 5th place finisher. And it looks like we're going to catch up with 2nd place today in the GTPs. Cy Andra, who had a nice battle with Fabian.
Indeed. And Cy, before we get to that battle, I want to start at the very beginning. It seems like Fabian did not hear your warning that you could have been much closer if it weren't for your mistake on the second lap. I know it's a little bit moot, but how close do you think you could have gotten in qualifying if you hadn't have spun?
I didn't run the race setup I had in qualifying, obviously. I did run the 9-wing compared to the 8-wing I ran in the race. And I think I could have matched his time at the very worst. And I think I could have beaten him. My optimal was about a 10th faster than him after the first lap. And I knew I had pace for him, but I just looped it coming into the first sector, I moved the brake bias too far back. Got a little optimistic there.
Well, it gave us quite a fun fight throughout the race. I mean, talk to us about your setup, because we already heard Fabian and you now mention it, that it seems like you trimmed things out race-wise. Was that because of your poor qualifying?
Kind of. It was my sort of, let's throw this at the wall and see what works. Because I knew that if I ran what Fabian was running, I wouldn't be able to pass him, basically, without a lot of stuff going my way. So I had to do something different to sort of give myself the opportunity. Obviously, I couldn't stay as close to him as if I was running 9-wing when I was running 8, but it did give me a better run coming out of Le Mans and down the back straight into Sunset. And it gave me just that couple extra tenths of closure I needed just to get alongside him and force him into an uncomfortable line around Sunset. I did it a couple of times to him and made it work, but those high-speed corners make these cars, especially when they're trimmed out, a little bit nervous. You could see me being a little hesitant on throttle there. And I think if I was a little bit more aggressive, I could have made the passes stick more easily, but I probably would have wrecked out before then.
Always important to finish the race if you're going to want to try and win it. Now, we heard from Fabian that he feels you're still a serious threat, even though you're a few points behind, and he credits the drop weeks. For you, is it kind of a point of keeping up these good finishes and staying patient until you see the standings change around when we start counting those drop weeks?
Absolutely. I think I'm on the back foot a little bit here because of Sports Car Open and the special events that I race in as well. So it forces me to miss a couple of races. But that also means it puts me under pressure to stay consistent. As you know, Long Beach was a big kick for me because I knew I was going to miss 2 weeks because of the Daytona 24 and Sports Car Open. So hoping, well, not hoping, but assuming Fabian has another bad week, we should be on even footing.
We always have that caveat. We don't actually hope, but it would be upset if that things sort of happened. Well, Sai, congratulations on a second, and thank you again for what is probably one of the most memorable camel races we've had in a while.
Absolutely sending this one in for top 10.
Yeah, I think you should. As we say goodbye to Sai Andra, we have our third place finisher, Matthias Hovdal, and Adam has caught up with him.
Yeah, Matthias Hovdal with 3 to go makes a pass around the outside of turn 10 on Nick Mikanos. Matthias, talk to us about that move.
Yeah, so I was really struggling to get close to Nick. He had good pace and he was dealing with the traffic well. But basically, I just got a better exit than him, and I thought that was it. That was going to be the one opportunity I would get. And of course, on the outside, you can take a little bit more risk because if you get it wrong, you just miss the corner. Basically, you're not going to take the other guy out. So yeah, I just went for it and made it stick. So I'm very happy about that one.
Absolutely, and then you were able to stay ahead of him. But you were battling with him and Jamie Hall for most of this race. And talk to me about the traffic today, because we heard from one of the GTO's opinions. But how was it for you?
Yeah, it was intense. There's a lot of places here that are tricky to pass. It's quite marginal. So yeah, it was. I had a few close calls, to put it that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And heading to Detroit next week, it's a tough track for the GTPs, especially with how aero sensitive you guys are and how close the walls are. Is it one of your preferred tracks?
I haven't driven it much, to be honest. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think Long Beach was pretty okay, and Detroit's pretty similar. So we'll see.
Absolutely, Matthias. Well, thank you for joining us up here, and congratulations on a third place. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for putting on a good broadcast as usual, and of course I want to thank the guys I battle so closely with all race, for keeping it clean, and yeah, it's a great race. Thanks to them and thanks to you guys.
Well, thanks for joining us, Matthias, and once again, congratulations. Back to you, Joe.
That's going to close out our interviews here at Sebring for round 7 of the Kamel GT community, who we want to thank for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Otherwise, we wouldn't get stunners like today. And thanks goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We also have our social media outlets, which are constantly active: Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. The link is in the description below. Next race, as we mentioned, that'll be Detroit, Saturday, February 6th at noon Eastern, but we have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar, including a big one in just a couple hours' time. The Majors Team Endurance Challenge returns. It'll be at Road Atlanta, 4 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.